Hello, my name is Bruce Miller, and I'm with Rimche Consulting, and I'm here to talk briefly about the Microsoft Purview Records Management course for IT professionals. So this is a one-day virtual course, and it is very different than any other Purview training course I've ever seen. Now, when I say Purview here, I mean the records management portion of Purview. My analogy is Purview can be considered to be like a bowling ball. It has a lot of compliance and governance in it, but the records management portion is like a golf ball inside the bowling ball. A terrible analogy, but it kind of works. We're not here to talk about the full breadth and depth of Purview. We're here to talk about the golf ball, the records management portion of it. In my opinion, I've seen hundreds, if not thousands, of Purview training courses on YouTube and elsewhere. And what I find is that they're all walkthroughs of all the features and capabilities of the software. That's not what this training course is, okay? What this training course is, what are the features that are good? What are the features that are bad? And how do you deploy them correctly to become compliant? So we apply Purview properly, and that's what you're going to learn in this session, okay? It's not just a upper left corner to lower right corner walkthrough of all the features. You're going to learn a lot more. And because you're an IT professional, I'm going to assume that you don't know the basics of records management, and therefore we'll teach you that in this course. So this is very much about the application of Purview, the proper application of it, okay? It's the foundation course, which means that we divide the day into two halves. The first half is the EDRMS fundamentals, which you absolutely need to know in order to properly apply Purview. And the second half of the day is the nuts and bolts of Purview and how to deploy them. So in the morning, we cover things like the SharePoint information architecture, which is tightly tied to the retention schedule. What is the information architecture? Well, that's the libraries, the metadata, and the content types, right? How many libraries do we need? How many metadata columns do we need? That kind of thing. We go over all the science of electronic record keeping and the concepts, techniques, and methods of EDRMS. We also dig into the numbers where we show you how to prove that your system is working and that you can prove it mathematically with numbers. We cover the hugely important topic of case records. Case records constitute over 60% of all your records, and they are records driven by event-driven retention rules. And some of the software, Purview in particular, is very weak at case records, very weak. So we got to watch out for that. We'll cover the two lethal threats to any EDRMS project, whether Purview or not. And if you make either of these two mistakes, your project will definitely fail, and we don't want that to happen. So we'll teach you what those two mistakes are and how to avoid them. And we'll deal with email. In a modern setting, email constitutes 4/5 of all electronic records, so we have to deal with that. We'll talk about the roles of all the key players in the projects, and very importantly, we'll talk about the need to automate records management. I want to make this really clear. You do not want end users to participate in record keeping. If you do, you will fail. Simple as that, okay? We'll explain why and prove it. And then, so the whole idea is that we're going to have to use Purview to automate the record keeping process, okay? So in the afternoon, we'll look into the details of Purview. Now, the Purview paradox says this. Out of the box, Purview says compliance comes from people, from end users. They participate in the record keeping process, and that's good. We will teach you that is bad, not good, and it's the opposite of the way it needs to be. So we call it the Purview paradox. So we need it out of the box. It's basically upside down. We'll teach you how to turn it right side up and get it correctly. Okay. We'll show how to automate it, and that can be pretty challenging with Purview. There's a few points I want to make about Purview. Number one, to a records manager, it's difficult to learn and difficult to deploy. As an IT professional, you're going to have to help them a lot, okay? I'm an IT person to my core, and I find Purview difficult. Why is it difficult? Because we do it correctly. To do it incorrectly, it's very simple. but you will fail. So we're going to show you how to do it properly, and that's not easy, okay? Purview has some unique challenges, which we'll introduce you to and how to overcome them, and also a couple of very big limitations, two in particular, but we'll deal with what those limitations are and again, how to overcome them. We'll talk about scale because Purview has kind of two, and you'll never hear this from Microsoft, at least I don't, which is up to a certain scale point, you can do it without writing any custom code. But beyond a certain scale, a certain size, you're going to need to write custom code. Very, very tricky stuff. So we'll talk about internal limitations, retention labels, and policies. It sounds simple. Define a label, stick it on a document, you're done. It is not that simple. Don't even think about it. Okay, it's much more to it than that. So we'll also even go down to the M365 substrate, which is absolutely necessary in order to deploy Purview properly. And do you think that a records manager is going to go down there in the basement of M365 and start tinkering around with the plumbing? I don't think so. I think that's going to be you, and you're going to have to do it on their behalf. So we'll teach you all that. So that's about it. And in the description below, you'll find 3 links. One for a document that gives you the details of this course, another for our schedule of all our training, and third, to a link to register for this course. And by the way, if you want to go deeper into Purview, there's another course which is a full day just on Purview itself. But in order to take that course, you're going to have completed one of these courses that has the morning or the first half covering all the fundamentals. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much.